selection criteria.
Definitely, we had selection criteria. The age does not make a difference. The main criterion is that they have any kind of higher education, whether a diploma or a university degree. And this is basically to ensure that they manage to do the research and to write the reports that they need to write in order to successfully complete the qualification program. But we have a very high diversity, so we have people from very different ages, up to almost 60 years, but starting from relatively fresh graduates. We also require them to be already working at a child care institution so that they apply what they've learned like directly.
Is there any stage where you, where these applicants are subject to a test or an operational application?
The interesting thing about this qualification is that there are no tests, because tests are based on testing your knowledge, and I'm sure you know that after most tests we forget what we wrote in those tests. So the idea here is that we have assignments, practical assignments. People learn, the caregivers learn certain theories and a lot of information, but they also have to apply that information in a certain assignment, and in those from those assignments we evaluate, based on these assignments, we evaluate the learners in whether they can apply what they have learned, not just that they know the information.
What were the main steps that you needed to go through as a project manager to start this program?
Okay, the very first step is to achieve accreditation, because the international accreditation that we have required is a very highly regarded one, and it took us about 2 years to find the suitable unit and to develop it in the Arabic language with experts in the field of psychology, of education, of sociology, and those who have experience in development and field work with children in institutional homes. And this was the first step, and it took a lot of time till we received accreditation, because you have to achieve certain standards, international standards, in your policies and procedures and your practices. And the second part is to plan the program, because if you take something from abroad, you can't just apply it as is. For example, in the British qualification, it is assumed that the learner knows how to write a good report.
Right.
And we know we can't base our program on that kind of assumption. So we sat there for about 3 months, meeting with various experts in a team, and we developed this program based on the real needs of our program. And then there was the part of recruiting the learners, and then delivering the program, and then checking that the qualification is up to standard. So there is a process of internal and external verification by the quality managers internally and in the UK.
Right.
And then there was the graduation, which was very recently.
Yeah, that was the event you had last week.
Exactly.
For the graduation of some of the participants. Would you tell us how did that go, and how did the participants feel about this?
It exceeded my expectations by far. At the beginning, because I specialize in vocational qualification, all I focused on was coming out of this program with qualified caregivers who know how to do their job.
Right.
But it is more than that, because they are the first qualified caregivers in Egypt. And being the first, they realize that this is a very important role they are playing. They are pioneering in the field of childcare. So they decided to wear a badge on their graduation that says, "I'm a caregiver and proud." And this was a very big moment for all of us, because it showed that the childcare is starting to experience a boost in our society, or at least that is what I'm hoping. Because now they are not only confident in their job and proud of their job, they also have a mission. They have a vision for this profession to experience a certain raise. And the nice thing is that caregivers are now, they have a career path, which they did not have. They are not reaching a ceiling.
We'll just go for a short break and we'll be back to talk more about the governmental support that you're taking. Welcome back, and once again talking about child caregiving in Egypt. We would like to know how do you what you expect from the government as a support. We noticed the attendance of the Minister of Social Consolidation at the graduation ceremony, right? We would like to know what was her comments and what you expect from the government to support you.
Well, what I found very, very interesting was that the minister was very attentive to the speeches given by the caregivers themselves, the graduates of this qualification. And this is a first step. Listening is a first step. But we also need much more than that. What is required here in Egypt is standards for care in institutional homes, that there are certain standards you cannot go below. It should not be optional. It should be mandatory to have a certain minimum of standards. And when I talk about standards, I mean 5 main pillars, 6 pillars: child protection, child care, the building itself and the facilities, and like preparing children for the future, that when they enter into society as adults, that they are prepared from the very beginning, as well as the management of the institutional homes. So we're talking about many different standards, and what we are expecting is that these standards become a ministerial decree that makes it mandatory for all institutional homes in Egypt to follow certain standards, and to receive a warning if they are not, but also to be supported to achieve those standards. And this is what our organization focuses on, the development of orphanages and other institutional homes. And the other thing that I was very happy that the minister talked about was our vision that this profession requires a license to practice. Not everyone should be able to work with children. It's a major responsibility.
So not anyone should be allowed to work with children, except if he has a license.
Exactly. And therefore they should receive a certain training, and that's why we started launching this. We launched this program in training caregivers to be qualified. And if this is generalized and this is integrated in universities and other higher education institutes, then the government can require this to be a basic requirement for anyone who wants to work with children.
How long do you think you need, do we need in Egypt to reach this stage where all caregivers, child caregivers in Egypt are qualified, are trained and are licensed?
I think a very long time, but setting those standards and defining them is a very good first step, because it makes people work towards that. And what we require in our organization is that there are at least 2 people in every institution, not that all 100, like in the UK, for example, you require 80% of all staff to have this kind of qualification. We can't expect that in Egypt. So we're saying at least two people, for example, the manager and the head supervisor should be qualified, so they know what is required, what standards are required, and they manage the institution accordingly.
Right, Hannah Abdesalam, Project Manager, thank you very much for joining us and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very, very much.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, with this we wrap up this edition of Today's Youth. Stay tuned for more coming ahead on Nile International.